Hello everybody, it's me Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with another episode of what I'm calling a video game flashback, where I dive deep and go back and review a video game I never reviewed on my channel before. And this time I'm reviewing Bioshock Infinite. Now this version I'm playing here is the complete edition. It has all the DLC included with it, but I'm only going to focus strictly on the full main version of Bioshock Infinite, none of the DLC, and not the 1999 mode, none of that, just the regular ones. This was developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K and released originally on March 26th of 2013 on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, and Windows. And it was based on historical events involving like the 1893 World Columbian Exposition. So it definitely has a much different art style and just visual style than the first Bioshock did. And this game was in development hell. My goodness, it took over 5 years and several hundred people to make this title. And the main plot of it is you play as Booker DeWitt, I guess a detective. They never really explain it too much. A detective is sent out to bring back Elizabeth to some people that he owes gambling debts to so they can wipe his debt away clean. Naturally, along the way, you find out it gets a lot more deeper in depth than that. It's not just a escort mission. It's pretty weird. Now, it did also have post-launch DLC known as Burial at Sea. And this was their attempt to link it directly back to the original Bioshock game, which I don't really think they should have done that because, while this is Bioshock, it's almost like a different version, a different dimension, a different realm, so to say. And it's a lot more action-oriented compared to the first one, even though it still has the same structure and gameplay design and development. Now, this game went on to sell over 11 million copies and had multiple re-releases on just about any gaming system. Like I said, this is the complete edition on PS4, but it has seen a lot of re-releases multiple times with the other Bioshock games. Now, it plays very similar to the first game, when you play as Booker DeWitt, where you can carry 2 weapons at a time that you can cycle through at any time, grab a different weapon as you go, and you use these powers known as Vigors in this one, which once you drink from the bottle, it unlocks the ability to do certain magic spells like the first game did. You got your lightning, you got your fire, and you got murder of crows, and they're pretty cool. They all actually were always kind of cool. That's one of the aspects of the first game that made it really interesting, is the mix and match between your weapons and your magic abilities, so to say. And you collect salt is what it's known, which is basically keeps your meter filled so you can keep using your magic attacks. And the one main new mechanic in this that really brings it apart from the first Bioshock is the skyhook that you get rather early on. And honestly, even the skyhook changed in development to it. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you use it to go across these rail lines, because since all of Columbia is floating islands of buildings and stuff, it's all interconnected by these railway systems that you actually can use the skyhook to slide around on like a roller coaster ride. And of course, you can also use it to brutally attack and kill enemies as well. Now, the main mechanic of this, along with that, is it basically is an escort mission where you are trying to lead Elizabeth along to get to the end of the game. But fortunately, the development team, even early on, decided to make it to where she was not a pain in the butt. You don't have to worry about her. She takes care of herself. Most of the enemies will just flat out ignore her, or she'll hide in a corner or something, and she'll talk to you along the way, and it's kind of helpful occasionally. She'll toss you ammo or items or health and guns, which is actually pretty cool. And the other main mechanic with Elizabeth is, since she has a special ability known as opening tears. There are several parts in this game that explain that she has the ability to open up different dimensions or realms to different versions of the world that you're in. And you basically use it as a main mechanic. When you get to an area, as you can see here, there'll be certain things that are highlighted as areas that she can tear open one at a time, where you can do it to where you can bring in like a skyhook that you need, weapons, ammo, maybe a gun turret. So it's pretty cool, but honestly, it's used quite limited, and I really wonder what their main thing would have been with this. I mean, seriously, because the main thing about this game is the version that we actually got at launch is so drastically different than all the stuff they showed ahead of time. This game, like I said, went through development hell, to where they were downright cutting so much content out of it and changing it on the fly. And what they show you early on is so much different. I mean, it had so many changes, it has so much development and content cut that even a massive amount can still be found in the game if you actually use the PC version and go out of bounds. You can see all the stuff that was left in. And in fact, they even said there was so much cut content and changes in this game, they had enough content at the end where they could have made 4 other separate games. And I think that's really, really sad, because as you can see from these pictures, originally the game world of Columbia had so many bigger skyscraper type buildings, and it made the world and this city seem so much bigger and epic. And what we ended up getting, don't get me wrong, is still pretty vast in size, but it just doesn't have that same verticality feeling as the original design. And I feel at the time they were too ambitious with this game, and the gaming systems at the time probably just couldn't run and handle it right, so that's why they changed it. They had changed the main villain, honestly, in it. The original villain, as you can see from these screenshots, was Sultan Stahl. And now he was cut out of the final version, even though there is a scene or two where he's in there, but he gets killed real quick. So he had a much bigger, broader narrative in the original version that never made it. And the other thing was, my God, Elizabeth had been changed so much. When they first started out, she was so much older, she looked like Lady Comstock, and she was a mute. She was never meant to talk. Now, this is one thing I do like that they changed, because she just looked like a grandma, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to hang with this lady. Plus, she didn't talk. So I do appreciate the fact of the art style and how they changed her, made her a lot younger, and made her to where she talks, because it really builds off the character of Elizabeth and Booker as they go through their, this ordeal. Now, the other thing was the game world was originally designed to be a lot more gothic, darker, and steampunk style, very similar to the first Bioshock game, but they changed it along the way to where it's more bright and colorful and vibrant in the release version. And they also had something they cut out known as Vigor Junkies, which were their version of the splicers for this. They cut them out completely. And honestly, as you go through this and you're fighting with or for the Vox Populi, and you find out, the true ending of the true meaning of Comstock and what the real purpose of why you were sent to get Elizabeth in the first place. They even explain why Elizabeth is missing her pinky. She's got a thimble over top of her stump of where her pinky was. And it's, like I said, it tries to do its best, similar to the first Bioshock in terms of having this M. Night Shyamalan twist ending. And the twist ending in this, like if you haven't played this game, which I know everyone has, a lot of people were confused by it, but I understood it. It was different versions, different realms, different, like a paradox sort of scenario with alternate realities. Because even at the end, when there's all kinds of Elizabeths, one of them was actually the original design from the very first version of this game, which I thought was cool that they left that in. And honestly, overall, it plays great. It's a lot more action-oriented than the first Bioshock was, with the new enemy styles. And it'll take you roughly about 12 hours to get through this. Now, I do wish, honestly, it would have had a lot more darker, disturbing tones. There's some certain parts, like when you go against Elizabeth's mother, that gets really disturbing, and I really like that aspect. But I still have to say the first game still comes off as being a lot more grittier, darker, more disturbing. And I do like what this ended up being. It still plays well. It still looks good. I do love the evolution of Elizabeth. I do like the ending, even though it's nowhere near as good as the ending of the first game. And the fact of them trying to tie it in directly with this alternate dimension sort of thing, I'm not a really big fan of it, but I understand why they did it. But as for my final rating of this game, because back in the day I used to have a rating scale of 1 through 10, I would have to give Bioshock Infinite, if I was back playing it when it came out and not compared to games of today, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10. Honestly, the vibrant game world, the cool mechanics with the skyhook, the ability to have Elizabeth help you out during battle, and the fact that they made it to where you do not have to worry about her getting hurt during these battles really, really made the game to where it was fun, frantic. I did like the art style. I do wish we would have gotten the original version that they had worked on, though, because it seemed a lot darker, more disturbing and grittier, a lot more politically motivated, and then this one was. All in all, it is a really good game, but I can't understand why some people would still say it's nowhere near as good as the first Bioshock. Something about the big daddies and the little sisters had a much unique, more dynamic than this one does, though I do absolutely love how this game ended up. But that was my personal review of Bioshock Infinite. I give it a 9 out of 10. What would be your review if you went back and reviewed this game today? Do you agree or disagree with me on this? Is there anything I forgot to point out about this game that you wish I would have talked about? Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and of course here at Devil Dog Gaming, we always end our videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember people, the devil is in the details. Peace out until next time.